I think we managed to go live just on time for the first time.
That is correct. Was it right at the dot, like just
Yeah,
at the stroke of midnight hour? Just kidding.
I'm just waiting to make sure that it's live on YouTube. Um, yes, we're live on YouTube. Awesome.
Cool. All right. Well, hey everybody. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay. Let me know if there's like static noise or something, and then I'll put the headphones on. But tired of putting them on all day. So I guess as part of this, it's not a tutorial. It's not um anything. It's not like a tutorial, but it's basically I'm working on some stuff related to NBProcess. I'm just learning some things about NBProcess and thought that we'd live stream this. So if there's any questions or like we could do this as a group. So that's the main idea of doing this. And yeah, hopefully you'll find these things interesting. Like we will look into how notebooks are JSONs underneath. So like we'll be as part of this work, we'll be spending more time on NBDev and fastcore and the latest NB process. So yeah, with that being said, let's just start. I don't have a specific plan in mind. I'm not really prepared for this, but it's mostly just live streaming the work I'm doing related to NB process, and hopefully that's useful. So I guess that's all I had to say about this stream. But Sanyam, let me know if you want to add anything.
I think we can just add a disclaimer that every time you're seeing any stuff, we're figuring it out ourselves. So don't expect
Yeah,
us to be the experts of it.
yeah. I guess you should make that part of the descriptions going forward. Okay, so what we're working on is this idea called NB process. Basically, so NB process, what is NB process? NB process is something Jeremy's been working on recently, and I've been watching this very closely, and I just want to see what's this latest. So there's like new things being added to FastAI and FastGo every day. So like the recent one is this Globtastic, which which is like a glob, but has pretty much everything in it. So I guess this would be a good thing to start looking into. So let me actually just go. Git repos.
You just told me your Kaggle secrets. I'll beat you on the leaderboard now.
What secrets did I tell you?
I don't know. I saw some plot boxes.
Oh, that's just yeah. You can take that if that brings you to the leaderboard. If that takes you to the leaderboard, take me with you. It's no secret, I guess. All right. So what am I looking at? I'm looking at Globtastic. All right, there it is. So Globtastic is just this. It's a more powerful glob, but it includes regex, it includes symlink, and it includes skip. So it pretty much has everything. So when I was looking at this, it's like an os.walk, but just something that's more. So this walk function. So actually, this is something Jeremy tweeted about today. So it's not something that's old. I guess this should be union. One sec. Do I have the latest fast go? Alright, it is latest. I was under the impression that this was something like a union path and string. Anyway, that fixes that. So then this is a path. You pretty much have a path, and you go down a directory, and then you keep you pretty much walk down a directory, and you follow the links, which is symlinks if that's true or not, and then you just yield if this is a callable, which is keep file one callable, and then the other one's keep folder. So there's not much in this, but this is really cool to see and really nice function. But I guess what I wanted to work on now was mostly on the NB mostly on the NBProcess. So this is this NBProcess. There's like there's pretty much 5 notebooks in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to figure out. So this is a part of fast core. So if this like call parse, I should be able to call this. So let's see if there's some failure somewhere. No such file temp. That's fine. So how about this? So that should work. That should work. That should work. And then that should work. All right. Am I able to then call NB export? I am. And I'm also able to call NB's. All right. So that's the first problem I guess I'm trying to solve. Is this NB's export should be something that I should be able to call in my command line. So if I go into my command line and I just say NB export H, so it says command not found, which means I just want to check if that's part of settings.ini. So it is. So you can see how that's part of NBProcess export. So maybe if I call something like NBProcess export, oh, there it is. That works. So I should be able to call NBProcess export help. All right, that works. Cool. That got solved. So I guess what this does, or this function does, is if you have a notebook, then this pretty much creates a module. So let's see. I think in part of this you have a small test and you have a minimal.ipynb. And that's not the notebook actually. Let's see what's in everything. As you can see, I have no plan of like, this is not something that's planned. But it's mostly just work that I'm doing on NBProcess.
That's all right.
All right. Sorry?
I was just saying that's all right.
Yeah. So let's see what this does. So in my NBProcess, if I see in NBProcess, what's in there? So if I delete NBProcess / export.py, and here I call NBProcess export. Do I have notebooks here? I do. And I say export 03, no, it's the 02 export.ipynb. What if I call that? All right, what does it say? It says no module named NBProcess export. All right. Where is that coming from? I made a mistake, didn't I, somewhere? So it says, so this is just trying to debug what really happened and where. So it's just trying to import this module somewhere. And I just want to see where. So no module named NBProcess export. All right, let's see. Assertion error. So now there's this assertion error, I guess. Let's see. Okay, that runs. So if I run that, then let's see if there's this cd NBProcess. All right, there's this export.py that just got created. So I guess the thing I'm trying to solve or have a look at is, how does that work? So that should be the first thing we should check. It's like, how is this NB export function? So see how I call this, I pretty much call this NB's export, which exports all my notebooks to this module. So the thing I need to check is like, how does that work?
So it just exports the cell where you put a hash export, right?
Correct. But I think this should also work. So if I go NBProcess export, and I say that worked, didn't that? I think that worked. Okay. NBProcess export. All right, let's do this again. So let's delete that file, export.py. Let's call this command NBProcess export, and it gives me an error again. So am I calling something NBProcess? Oh, should I say, what am I missing? So that's the first thing I'm trying to solve. Let me just put my headphones on in a sec.
Sure.
All right, can you still hear me?
It's a little quiet. Maybe let me turn up my volume.
Give me 1 sec. Audio. How about now?
Yeah, that's perfect.
So
We're not sharing your screen right now.
sorry. How about now?
No worries. Yep, I can see.
Okay. So there's all of this code that makes that thing happen. But the first challenge I'm facing is like if I call this command. So this nb's export, if we see in this nbprocess.export calls nb's export. Oh, I see. I can't really call it if I delete the. So see what I was doing? Do you want me to explain the mistake I was doing, Sanyam?
No, I'm clear about it.
Okay. Cool. So then all I need is to run this. It was a very stupid mistake. I deleted the export module and I'm then calling a function from the export module. So how would that work? It won't. But let's delete something like sync.py. Okay. And then, so let's see. So as you can see, there's no sync.py over here, right? In my module. I can call NBProcess export NB's, or maybe just that. I should just be able to call that. And there, that works. And then let's see. There isn't a sync.py still. So how about this? What does that take? Takes a path or file name. All right. So how about nb's slash 03 sync.pynb? How about this? How about, oh, I should be able to say path. Should work. And then there's another error which says import from object. Import from object has no attribute end call offset. Okay. So let's run that from here. Interesting. No such file dot slash NBProcess. It's because I deleted it. Right? How about this now? Okay. So I've made some mistakes. So use it hard, pull. Alright. Cool. So what this does, it makes propagating small changes in the library back to notebooks. Okay. And how do I use this?
MD Baizid is asking, could you please speak a bit about NB process processes importance?
Yeah, I could if you give me 1 sec to just show it to you. So NBProcess, have you heard of NBDev? Who just asked? Sorry, what's the name, Sanyam?
Bayezid, if I'm not speaking that
Oh,
incorrectly.
okay. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. I'll just answer this. Have you seen NBDev? Are they live on the chat, Sanyam?
I don't see a reply.
All
But
right.
let's just assume, like, let's give them a heads
Yeah.
up about us.
Yeah, exactly. So what NBDev does is like you have a bunch of notebooks. So you have like sync.py, which looks like, let's just say it's some notebook. So pretty much you have a notebook which looks like this. And then what you could do is you could convert that notebook into a package. So if I go in that, this notebook sync.py, as you can see here, like this is this whole notebook. This notebook gets converted on its own, as you can see. This is auto-generated, and what that does is it converts the whole notebook to modules. And I guess what I'm trying to do here, so this is NBDev, and internally what NBDev does is that it uses Jupyter client. So there's this client called NBConvert, I guess, which can like read notebooks or do stuff with it. And there's also other things that it uses. This is what NBDev, the first version of NBDev, does. And so NBProcess does all of this stuff without. It does all of this stuff without using that Jupyter client. So that's the main difference. I guess I'm just trying to see how this thing really works. So if I go and I say vim sync.py, and if I add a comment here and I say hello world, oh, not that, and I save this, right? If I save this, would I be able to call this function? So all I'm trying to say is if I say update lib, so let's see, is there a function for this? There is, NBProcess, called NBProcess update lib. So let's call that NBProcess update lib, and let's check the help. It says invalid syntax. For what? How about I just call that? Still gives me an invalid syntax. Why is that? So as you can see, NBProcess is something that's being where is NBProcess? So fastai, NBProcess. So NBProcess is something that's being worked on very heavily in the past few days. So it's still very fresh, and I also am just trying to understand how this repository works. So I'm just having a look at what exactly happened here. Does it have to do with my Python, or like, what if I do this? NBProcess,
I'm
and I
not sure if
say,
that would give a syntax error.
no, it doesn't. Look, that does
Interesting.
fix it. Alright, so I was just in a wrong environment, I guess. Cool. Because I have stuff installed in this particular environment, and then I was calling it from the wrong place. So that's why I was confused. I was like, why is nothing working? I guess. So NBProcess update lib, and then I should be able to say, it says give me a file name. So I should be able to say NBProcess /sync.py, and then it says no such file or directory. Okay, so I need to be in NBProcess, and I should be able to say the same thing with just sync.py. Alright, so as you can see, that kind of worked. So let's see what happens here. Does that work? There we go. Do you see what happened?
Yep.
So I made so that's the first thing. Let's look at that. So I made basically, as you can see, I've got my module. So NBProcess can any change you make in the notebook and then you export it, so that changes gets shown in the module. And then similarly, any change you make in the module gets shown in the notebooks. If I say hello and welcome to this to CTDS, I guess. Let's just say that. So if I update my comment in my module, and I just do that again, and if I refresh my notebook, as you can see, it says hello and welcome to CTDS.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just magic.
Which
So yeah, so now the fun part begins of like understanding how did that work. So in the settings.ini, it's a console script which is NBProcess update lib, which is NBProcess update lib, which actually calls NBProcess.sync update lib, which is this function. Okay, so I guess if I just did this update lib, this should still have worked. So it's just calling this function to actually look at all the changes in that particular Python file and then propagate them back to the notebook. So let's see how that works.
I should also mention, like, this is built on top of a lot of fast core things. Fast core is like Python supercharged with like Jeremy's love for things that aren't there in Python. Like you can see capital L, that's just fastai's version of list that does like more than what list the Python list do. So like that's why like I've gone through this a bit, but like anyone who's new to this might not might freak out a little.
Cool, thanks for that, Sanyam. So I just want to say, so now I just want to see what would have happened if I call that. That works. Okay. So what if I say I add a breakpoint here? So what it's checking is like it's checking if os.environment.get in test. So if you're testing os.environment.get, that makes sense. But is that in test in os.environment? Is that a special variable, or is that just something that gets set? It's just something that looks like it gets set. It's a mock environment variable. Okay, so it just looks something like if I get set part of this. So let me add. So that's just checking. All right, if you're in the test environment, if you are to nothing, this just goes path fname read text and then split. Okay, so we're reading the module. So the first step we're doing is like if this is the whole module. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't do that. If this is Emacs, let's do that. All right, if this is my module, which is just some module, so the first thing it does is it goes to that path and it does a read text. Now read text is, I believe, a fast core thing. So let's see. Does pathlib have a read text? I don't think it does. Is it? It does. Okay. Let's see what that's meant to do. Return the decoded contents of the file. Return the decoded contents of the pointed to file as a string. Okay, so this will just read this whole. Sorry, I should just add to this.
I didn't know of that. Why do I like open files every time? I could just like try this instead.
What's that?
I could just like read files through this instead. I would like always just open files with the like using the standard way. I should try this.
Yeah, I guess, but you're reading that as a string, so it's not really Python. But then the next thing you do is you split on empty space, and then those two percentage. So I just want to bring it up. So let's see how that NBProcess sync.py. So that's how sync.py looks like, right?
Mhm.
This is my sync.py. Let me just select the Python interpreter because it's just gonna keep complaining. Otherwise, it's so funny. Like I was running the first 10 minutes in a different environment and like just wondering why none of this is working. It's like the same matplotlib over again.
It's worse for local installations. I don't know, like maybe I do something terribly wrong, but like it's just like a set of random errors. Like I lose CUDA every third restart for some reason.
Yeah, well, and look, it's not setting my interpreter now, so I just have to maybe try and do this. Or if that, see that? That's not, oh, there it is. Finally, it's selected that. Cool, thanks very much. All right. So, it's splitting on this. So it's basically saying you split on. All right, so what if I, just to show you guys, what if I read this as my string? So let's say my file looks something like, actually this is not to show you, this is more so for me as well. So let's say my file looks like that, right? And then what if I say file.split on this? That should just split it on that, right? Because there's no split right now. How about this? There we go. That works. Okay. So pretty much, anytime you have, so when you read this as a string, right? If this was all a string, this thing would look something like. So let's just do it. Actually, let me just show you.
Sure.
So path. We're in notebook, so I need to go in NBProcess, I guess, and I need to go sync. And what if I say read text? And let's just get the first 200 characters, maybe the first 1000 characters. All right. So as you can see, this whole Python file, when it gets read as a string, this is how it looks like. So it's first reading the this line, auto-generated, file to edit is X. Then it's saying, okay, then there's like 2/n's because that's how, like there's this enter, right? First enter, and then the second enter, which brings you to this line. So you have 2 enters, and then you have this percentage auto, like basically slash percentage auto, and then you have another /n, which is just your another next line character, and then you have it done to all. So that's how this file looks like, right? Now, what we're doing is like we're splitting on. Oh, sorry, don't do this. What we're doing is we're splitting on this every time you hit this new line, which is like hash and then percentage, right? Because that just means in when you export things with NBProcess, then everything gets exported this way. So you can see how every cell has this at the top,
That
right,
makes
Sanyam?
sense. Yeah.
And what we're trying to do is like we're converting this whole module into a Jupyter notebook, right?
Got it.
So if you're converting this back to a Jupyter notebook, then this would have been one cell, this percentage auto 0, then this would have been the second cell, then all of this would have been the third cell, this would have been the fourth cell, and so on, right? So we need to split on this, so that way we know every time there's a new split, that's a new cell. So we just grab all our cells like that, all our code cells like that, and we get rid of the first one because the first one is just this, the auto-generated do not edit. So we don't really need that. So that would give us all the code cells. And then I don't need this anymore. And then all it does is it does get call s for s encode cells, if not s dot starts with auto. Yeah, I guess we don't really need this anymore. If not, s dot starts with auto because we already got rid of that auto stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're not reading the first cell,
Right.
unless there's like some other auto stuff that I don't know about. Alright, so the question is, do we really need this here?
So far, the only auto stuff I've seen is the one we're
The
already
top.
accounting for. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen any other auto stuff. Let's just do an ACK to see if there's any auto. Oh, we don't need to look in fast core. Automatically, auto IDs, auto generated. Oh, there it is. Percentage. Auto zeros. That's maker. That's all HTML. I don't need HTML. So can you please just show me .py files? And what is this? Oh, there it is. Percentage. Okay, so there it's here.
What does auto zero refer to? Do you know that?
No.
Okay.
It's, I wish I knew. But let's find out. Let's think of
Sure.
this. So there's like this must be coming from because we're not looking at export. What we are actually looking, we started the wrong way. Like instead of showing you how to build a module from a Jupyter notebook, I guess I'm looking into how to build a Jupyter notebook from a module, from an NBProcess module. So we're doing it the other way, but this is what I'm working on, and then this is what I'll do. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
And then we'll get to export some other day. All right. So
Sounds good.
now at least now we know why we need this auto. It is required. So it's just basically going and converting. Like now it's going to split the cells. So what this is going to do, get call, it's going to split my cell. So if I have my lines, okay. So let's do this. This is interesting. So this would be my first cell, right? So my cell would be. Oh, sorry. How about I do this? I do this and I say path. Instead of fname, I say // NBProcess /sync.py. So then I can see what my first cell is, which is starting with auto right at the top. Oh, I should have seen this before. Sync. So I have my percentage auto right at the top. My first cell is this. So what if I do get call? What if I do get call on this? Alright, so see how it's splitting the lines. So my code cell looks like that. This is just going to split the lines. That makes sense because every time there's a /n, it's just going to be a new line in my notebook. So if in my module, if there's like a /n, that's just a new line in my cell. So I'm just splitting that on the line, and the top we keep. So the top is this thing, right? So the top is that. I keep that, so that becomes my top, and the rest becomes my code. That does make sense. The only question is if I'm splitting this, then it should split from here. So the top should be this, right? Instead, the top, am I doing this right? My top is this, and yeah, that doesn't look right. Something's wrong. I think the top should just be this bit. So what if I remove this comment? That shouldn't really change anything. cd.nbprocess Are there any questions or anything, any interaction or?
I'm keeping an eye out and talking to people here and there.
Alright,
But no questions.
so I'm just gonna reload because I changed some things. So let's do that again. So I guess the easier. Oh, why do I have this? Why do I have this? I guess the easier way would be. It's giving me. What did I change here? Did I change something? Huh. Oh, I see. Right. What's the problem now? That is a directory. Is a directory error. What is a directory? That's a directory? How is that a directory? It lib dot slash NBProcess that's sync.py. Cd dot NBProcess sync.py.
I love how your workflow is constantly breaking things and then just resetting.
Yeah, it is embarrassing, I guess.
It's inspiring, I would say.
Oh no. I think.
I'll go break my local torch setup today
Hmm.
after this one.
Have you tried installing CUDA or like updating CUDA?
Let's not go there. Let's
Okay.
not open that
No.
that can.
So this would get me the call. All right. Let me just add a breakpoint here. So p till 0. Oh. Alright, so that's my 0th cell. And that's my first cell. So now I'm just curious on like, let's run this. And then logs 1. Yeah, that's surprising. Okay. Might be meant to be like that. S dot split lines. I guess what I'm trying to find out is like, if I do a split lines on this, so if my sorry, if my cell looks like this, right? If this is my cell, which is what goes in get call, right? So if let me just stop running this breakpoint. I'm just checking what happens if I do get call and I pass this. Oh, I don't have to do that. Please don't do anything. Alright, so that's that. Does split, do I not understand how split lines work? Turn the list of the lines in the string, breaking at line boundaries. Line breaks are not included in the resulting list unless keep ends is given and true. This method splits on the following. Oh, okay. So it splits on /n. It splits on file separator, group separator. Splits on line separator. So why is it splitting? I guess I'm just trying to see why is it splitting on. Does it split on S? Oh, it's not really splitting, I guess. Oh, it is. It is doing the split.
It's splitting based on spaces, from what I understand.
Oh, sorry. I'm foolish. It's then doing this and then it's doing that. All right, never mind. Ignore me. It's just I'm out of sleep. What it's doing? It's just simple. It's like it's a simple call. That's why I was like, why is it taking that long for me to understand? I just this will have. So when I split my line, this will have the first top line, which goes in my top. Everything else goes in my rest. So this goes in rest. Then I split the top on space, which means if I split this on space, then this, and all of this gets separated.
Mm-hmm.
I must have run something. And then, so it just splits my top, and then it joins everything by /n. Alright, that's easy. So that would give me locks. I don't know what lock stands for, but I think it would give me my cells, which are split, and it would also give me the locations. Oh yeah, locations.
Locations.
Locks would be
yeah.
locations. Because see how it's giving me locations? Like if I split this by space, it's telling me like this is the 5th cell, this
Right.
is the 8th cell, or like this is how these things would run at
That
least.
makes sense.
So this is like the 15th. Or was that the... Yes, that would give me the location. And then what I do, I go for my notebook name, I go for the locations, I group by locks items. Huh. Then I update my lib. Alright. Just gonna see this. Alright. So what exactly is locks? Oh, there it is. So my locks, the first thing looks like this. So if I go locks 0, so that's NB. So it's splitting basically. Which one is this? 4.
That's the first exported cell, I'm guessing.
It's this one. It's this one. It's just the imports. So you can see how it's just the imports,
Okay.
right? So it's just imports. It's saying import ASD temp file JSON. Cool. And then what we're doing, I guess, group by locks 0 items. What would that do? Oh, it would just... Oh, I see. Okay. Alright, that makes sense. So if... so basically if I have like... I just show you the first 2 locks. Actually... so you can see... Let me just do this. Print... star, comma, or O in locks 2. Or let's just do this that way. Okay. So as you can see now, I have my 2 locations. This is my first cell, which is the imports. This is this import, and then this is my second cell. So what it's doing actually at this point, if I do a group by on this on the 0th item, so the 0th item is this notebook name. So what it's gonna do is it's gonna group by these 2 things by... That makes sense. Okay, so let's do this. Group by for this, print these things, NB name and NB locks, and then break. Alright, that makes sense. You see how you have now my notebook, and then you get everything that's related to that notebook in like one place. I see.
Right.
And then you can just go by that, and then let's see what this update lib does. So update lib is like, if lib name is none, that's fine, that's just the lib name. It reads the notebook that we're trying to update. So if it's like, because this is like NBProcess sync.py, which means we would have a notebook name. So the notebook name we know from here, right? The notebook name is this one, 003 sync.ipynb. So then that notebook name gets passed in this update lib, and then I read the notebook, which is here. I go through all my cells. I assert that my name is the same as the notebook name, so that's just like a test. And then I go through the cells line source, and I convert all my inputs. This is just converting all the imports from like relative imports to absolute imports. So see how we have from.read import star, but actually in the notebook we have from NBProcess.read import star. So we need to convert those relative imports to hello.
I'm here.
Oh, I just lost you for a second. I guess it was my connection. Anyway, so we need to convert those relative imports into absolute imports. So this is what that's doing to absolute. Okay. And then we just add a source. Makes sense. Lines. Okay, that makes sense. Cool. It's a bit hard to explain.
I'm with
So
you
when
so
you
far.
Yeah, I know you're with me so far. The only thing I guess, because we're reading a notebook,
Yeah.
when we read a notebook, it reads the notebook as a JSON file, but I guess it returns an attrodict, and then that notebook, every notebook has a cell, so you just have, so like for this notebook, if all of these cells get stored in nb.cells, and then we could just grab the correct index cell, so that becomes my cell, and now each cell has source, metadata, and a couple of other things that are not that interesting, I guess. All we care about is the source. So like if you're going from the module to the notebook, all we have to do is we have to update the source, which is what's happening here. It's like you grab the lines, and then you can like, why is there a re-export? Let's see that. Oh, you remove the exports. Okay. Re-export that match. Re-export. Recompile. I'm bad at rejects, so okay. Unless it's like a... I have to see what this is doing. I don't understand what this is doing.
I'm pretty bad at regex.
Yeah, I have to understand that logic, I have to do something. Anyway, you do some kind of matching, and then based on that, you update the cell source. So I guess that's an overall... That's the overall idea of like how this thing works. So from a total thing, like how this thing works is like you read the module as a string, you split the module based on like these everywhere you see this hash and then percentage, so you get your locations, and then for each of those locations you just group by the first notebook name, because you want to keep all the cells that belong to one notebook, and then you have that notebook name, and then you say update lib, and then what update lib does is it reads the notebook based on this notebook name, and then it goes through all the cells and updates the cell.source based on like, because we know like this is one cell, we know this is the other cell, and then you just update the source. Like that's overall what's happening. Okay, cool. So I've got a gist of like how this thing works on the NB dev sync. I guess I'll stop here today and go to sleep, and then spend some more time on this notebook, and then tomorrow I can be in a position where I can actually explain what's going on.
Sounds good.
Cool. So let's stop here.
Awesome. I'll end the podcast.
Thanks, Am.